up, fam? Welcome back to the CO Pulse podcast on the Mindset Monday series with my co-host, Justin Thorstad. We have a pretty cool topic today, and this is all credit to my buddy Justin here, but we want to talk about doing the hard thing, okay? What inhibits us? What stops us from doing the hard things? And actually puts us in a place of procrastination and then just kind of pushing the ball down the road and not really handling the stuff that we're supposed to be handling to get the results that we want to get, right?
Absolutely.
It happens to entrepreneurs all the time. It happens as employees all the time. And bottom line, as human beings, I think there's a big mental block in terms of what gives us the courage to act and really take action when we have to, right? So super glad to have you on the show, brother, again.
Yeah, man. Excited to be here.
Yeah. I'm loving Mondays, man. I'm loving
Absolutely.
Monday. I'm getting raving reviews. Like, my mom said it was amazing. Yeah. My sister also watched it once. She was in the bathroom, and she's like, oh, my God, like the best bathroom break she's ever had.
Wonderful.
Yeah. So,
That's a long
I mean,
bathroom
we're making waves.
Yeah.
We're making waves.
The ripple effect.
The
brother.
ripple effect, the impact is just astounding. So with that being said, no, but for reals, I'm getting really good comments and feedback from people just reaching out and saying, giving us thanks and saying that, some of the stuff that we're putting out there just brings that sense of awareness, right? Planting that seed. If at the end of the day, as individuals, we can plant the seed, I believe we're doing, we're walking in the right direction. So
Yeah, absolutely. Well, isn't that where all transformation happens, is by a seed being planted first and letting
100%.
that germinate and blossom into something beautiful?
100%. So let's talk about doing the hard thing. All right. What does that mean?
Yeah, well, I think first of all, doing the hard things is taking a look at what are my strengths and what do I perceive my weaknesses to be. And all of that comes down to experiences that we all have had as young children. And, what are the stories and the beliefs that we've made up about ourselves, that bundle of BS, belief systems, and the self-image, like who do I think I am, what do I think I'm capable of, what do I think I'm worthy of, what do I think I deserve, how much money is too much, all of that, right? Because fundamentally, the belief systems are what are unconsciously driving behavior. They're habits, yes?
Right.
So when we say something's hard, that's only because we're assigning meaning or significance to that thing that it's hard. Nothing has any inherent meaning or significance.
100%.
It's all assigned,
100%,
right?
yeah.
So we're the ones, first of all, saying it's hard. And so taking a look at, if I'm honest with myself, like on the inside here, mentally, what makes me think this is hard? What story am I making up about this task, this action item, in such a way that I think something bad's going to happen, or I'm going to be a failure, or I'm not competent, or not capable, or I'm insufficient? Because we're the ones saying that. So what's
Right.
really hard? Now, that being said, I still have things that I assign that are hard. You know what I mean? Even today, there was a conversation to have. And I was like, oh, no. And I started noticing those thoughts and these emotions that come up, that energy. And like, whoa, wait a minute. Caught it. I'm doing it again. And so let me get all of that BS story off the plate and just be present with the situation. So it's having a conversation with someone, getting them some honest feedback, because feedback comes from love, yes.
Right.
But how many times do people stop themselves from having honest conversations and giving feedback because they're concerned about what someone else is going to say, how they're going to feel, are they going to take their love and connection away, are they not going to like me anymore? And so it's hard to have this conversation. When in reality, something as hard as an honest conversation about expressing yourself, your emotions, what didn't sit well with you, and coming from love and compassion of like, I care enough about you for you to be able to see this, right? Because typically when you give feedback to somebody, it's because you notice a pattern in their behavior that's not serving them well in their life and creating their desired results.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's as simple as, if you're my friend and you got a bug hanging, I'm going to tell you. You know what I mean? It's like, would you be mad? No. You'd be like, oh, thanks, man, because no one would tell me that because everyone's embarrassed.
I'll probably tell you after the restaurant.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, you'd let me walk around with
Yeah,
it just because
yeah,
it's funny.
absolutely, 100%.
You know what I mean?
100%.
But to have those conversations as an example of doing something that's hard, like it gives you the gift to show yourself that you can perfectly express yourself, your emotions, give people honest feedback to help them get unstuck in life. And notice that it can actually bring the relationship closer together. It actually builds intimacy. It builds connection to be able to have those kind of honest conversations. Because, I mean, let's face it. You and I are really good friends, and there's a lot of trust, there's a lot of admiration, there's a lot of respect. Why? Because we give each other feedback.
Absolutely. Sometimes not the nicest.
No, and it's
Stuff,
not always
but-
easy because it's
but
like,
it
I don't want you to be
enforces.
pissed at me,
Yeah.
right? But I care enough about you. I love you enough to tell you.
I think that's important to understand too. Okay, when we're having a difficult conversation, and this is, I mean, the topic is doing the hard things, right? Conversations go hand in hand with that. Sometimes we want to, hold back or push back or just procrastinate on a talk that we got to have with employees, with significant
Oh, yeah.
others, with a friend, and we tell people what they want to hear.
Yes.
But it's not. It's not honoring them. It's not doing them any justice, right? Or the friendship or the relationship any justice. A lot of the times.
Well, not only that, but it damages your own self-esteem when you know
Exactly.
something needs to be said, and then it's hard, and so you back off and you say, you manipulate yourself and the message
Yeah.
because it's just you're taking from yourself and you're chipping away at your own self-esteem, your own self-respect, that you're cowering away from something that you deem as hard because of the story you're making up about what's going to happen if you do say that thing.
Right. And it's important to understand what space it's coming from, right? Again, I love the term awareness or the idea of awareness, the power actually of awareness. I love that. When you have awareness, you have a limited amount of stuff that you can get pissed off at. It just puts you in a way better place. Now, being aware of where your conversation is coming from is important, right? For example, me having a conversation with somebody, a relationship, and telling him, "Hey, listen, this might be unsolicited advice, sometimes, but I care about you. I'm seeing this. You know what I mean? Coming from a space of love is always going to make it better. And understanding what space that conversation is coming from, I think, both ways. When somebody's having that conversation with us and being more open to constructive criticism, feedback, that type of stuff, and understanding, where they're coming from. Is it coming from a space of love? Is it coming from a space of envy? Is it coming from a space of
Judgment or just an opinion.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, but you can also ask that person, like in the situation that you teed up, is, hey, are you open to some feedback?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because some people may not be in the space emotionally, mentally, in that moment in time to get some coaching, so to speak, right? It's like with your wife. You know what I mean? If she's vomiting about some things, what we want to do as men is like go fix the problem and like give her solutions, right?
Yeah.
But she maybe just wants to dump. And so that's a really important one with relationships, is asking, are you just wanting to dump right now, or are you open to some
Are you
feedback?
venting?
Yeah, are you venting or are you looking for solutions? No, I'm just
Yeah.
venting. Okay, cool.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I'll be a punching bag. No, even, for example, in our mastermind meetings, when we meet every couple of weeks, right? When we see it coming, when somebody is bringing bullshit to the table and whatnot, it's like, okay, what's going on? We'll dig deeper before we jump into punching people in the throat. It's can I say something? I mean, we've been at this for years. I mean, you're talking what, 6-7 years,
Something like that.
something like that. We've been at it for years, right? So the trust is there. We know that we can speak freely and whatnot. Yet that permission to step over, somebody else's boundaries, it's still there, right? But it's a matter of respect. Now,
We usually just bulldoze over those boundaries. But,
yeah, but it happens. Now, doing the hard things and having the hard conversations, it's also a matter of respect.
It totally is.
Right.
It's respecting yourself and respecting that person. And it comes from love. It really does. And so just noticing the stories that go on in the mind about why I shouldn't say this or what might happen that's going to be negative in nature that you might be full of shit about. And what beautiful things can come out of that. Like we said, like we were just messing around about, bulldozing over the boundaries with each other.
Mm-hmm.
But that's because in the beginning, having respect, love, admiration, and demonstrating that through experience, then now we know that we can go over those boundaries because we both already understand the come from.
Right.
So there's something to get upset about.
Yeah.
So,
The awareness of the space is there. How can you break into a difficult conversation?
you know what? That's a fantastic question, because some people are like, I don't know how to approach it. Then just own that.
Yeah.
What's wrong with saying, hey, there's something that I want to talk with you about, and I'm really uncomfortable, and I'm really nervous about how you might react. Like, why not just own that?
Yeah.
I mean, how many people talk to you that way?
Yeah. Yeah. With truth.
With truth.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, like, why not just own the space that you're in, express your concerns. Like, I have some feedback for you.
Yeah.
However, I'm really apprehensive and I'm nervous about how you might take it. And then they're really going to want to know what it is. You know what I mean?
And they start asking.
Yeah.
The conversation opens up. You know, it's interesting that you say that. I have one case in particular. I know one student, I mean, will do whatever it takes to not have a difficult conversation. And he's got talent. I mean, he's got everything it takes to get it done. And I mean, he's actually done phenomenally. But every time it comes, you know, down to a real conversation between him and I, okay, this is what you got to do, holding accountability, that sort of stuff. There's a gap. Communication drops and whatnot. Yeah. And I know the reason behind that is because of that, you know, sense of having that difficult conversation. I have to pursue that particular student to reach him if there's something that I just want to say, right? Because I know he's not evading because he can't do it. He's evading because he's pushing away on those stuff. So we're working on those, you know, kind of deals. But the point I'm trying to make is that we will have the audacity to go to, like, beyond extraordinary measures to not have those difficult conversations. When in reality we come across them and then just, you know, go through that bridge. Things become a lot easier.
Totally. Well, and that's the premise of why you and I decided to have this as a topic for a podcast, to do the hard things. Because here's the deal. When, for example, like, we're using the content of having a difficult conversation.
Right.
And so avoiding having that difficult conversation, people say they procrastinate and they put it off. And procrastination is an interesting word, because I believe it's really just code for avoidance and deflection. I'm uncomfortable. There's a story. There's some emotions behind it that are negative in nature, and I'm avoiding having the conversation. I'm deflecting against it. And the key thing to look at is, if you take a look, how you do that and avoid and deflect something that's uncomfortable, doing something hard, you can translate that in where in your marriage do you do that? Yeah. Or where in your health, where in your finances. It's happening everywhere, because how you do one thing is how you do all things. What you do here is what you do there is what you do everywhere, right? And so the beauty of doing the hard things is when you, as you said, get across that bridge, you get into action, you do it anyways. Like, who do you come out as a version of you on the other end of that? Like, that's the goal. That's the win, is taking that action.
And I can tell you, man, from personal experience, every time I've taken a load like that off my back, it just feels so much better.
Oh yeah, compared to carrying around for days.
Compared to carrying this you know, this big weight on your back, about having, you know, a conversation or doing anything that you're supposed to be doing, you're not doing, and just kind of pushing, you know, things out, which. Shifting gears here into, so that's conversations, right? That's having those difficult conversations. I think it's the number one step to anything.
It is. Well, because as an entrepreneur, you're required to have a lot of conversations with a lot of people about a lot of things.
Yeah, exactly. ABC is always be selling, right? We're always selling ourselves.
Totally.
That's where I took that concept. And that happens through conversations. If you're not able to have a conversation or reach out to somebody because maybe it feels intimidating, maybe, oh, you know what, I don't want to reach out to that person because they're highly successful, they're, you know, way outside of my league or whatever, you're putting yourself in that context. You're putting yourself in that space where nobody else is putting you. It's like it's a self-action, right? So totally. we're kicking ourselves in the ass before we even get the shot at doing anything, you know, good. Yep. So break through that, and then start just, people like having conversations. It's amazing, right? You talk to highly successful people, and they enjoy having conversations. I mean, I have people on the podcast all the time, and they love having conversations. Substance, right?
Sure.
Stuff is substance. So that's important to just keep in mind. Don't be afraid of doing that stuff. Once you do, doors do open up. Now, what about doing the hard things? What about the actions and the procrastination that we get oftentimes because, you know, we are afraid of something, we don't want change to come in, we feel like maybe our sense of worth is not, you know, quite there yet. There's a lot of lack of confidence.
Worth and confidence. So my biggest thing is, I read a book called Win by Lou Holtz, the most winningest college football coach in history. And WIN is an acronym for what's important now. So if you take a look at something hard, let's say that you want to gain control over your health. You know what I mean? Like, I used to weigh 63 pounds more than I do today. I don't look like this dude. However, I'm pretty happy and grateful for my state of health. Like, I have energy, I have vitality, and couldn't be happier. Yet there's always room for improvement. Yes?
Yeah.
So it's just taking a look at, okay, what's one step I can take? Because if you don't feel worthy, if you don't feel confident, it's because you're not taking action. You know what I mean? Like, you gain confidence as an end result of the action that you've taken. And so I think the problem is most people don't want to get into action because they're afraid to fail. They don't feel confident. They don't feel worthy. But it's like you get those things as the end result of taking the action.
Yeah.
And so what's just one important step right now you can take? Because the beautiful thing is when you have a clear intention about what the end result looks like and what you want it to be about, let's say it's your health, let's say it's your finances, let's say it's your investment portfolio, let's say it's the relationship you have with your employees or the people you collaborate with. If you set that clear intention and you just take a step, when the intention's clear, the mechanism will appear. It always tends to unfold. But it doesn't all unfold like a 100-step action plan. It's just one step. You take that step, and you maintain that clear intention, the next step unfolds, no matter how seemingly insignificant the step is. And the thing about it is once you keep taking those steps and you stay in motion, motion creates emotion, and you start building momentum. You know what I mean? So what like short-term targets can you set, hit, and exceed to build some momentum? And with that comes confidence. With that comes worth. Now, very important, though, about what I just said is your worth is never attached to the end result. Like your worthiness is not on trial here. You're already enough. And that should be the key to get you to take at least an action step. You're already worthy of it. So don't attach your worthiness to if I get the end result, the objective, or I achieve, then I'm enough. No. You already are. And I think that's the biggest thing for people is they're always going for things because when I get it, then I'll be. Yeah. Fill in the blank. And it's just so backwards.
It is. It's interesting how being in that space, becoming that space, right? It comes back to the I am. The whole idea of coming from within and being that person from within just manifests on the outside. Afterwards, it's. I mean, I don't know how to explain it. You're a lot better at explaining this kind of stuff than I am. I just know it works, right?
Yeah. Well, you don't need to know how electricity works to flip the switch.
Flip a switch.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So
I know how to flip the switch.
Yeah. The fact that you use it is plenty because you see results from it. To be able to articulate it's another thing. However, that's not required in order to actually execute on the things we're talking about.
Yeah. I think, going back to the degree of confidence, I mean, like you said, it's action gives you confidence, action and results, understanding the wins, right? How are we winning? Every single day, jot down your wins, journal, people, journal, take the time to write things down on a book, on a piece of paper. It's not going to be the same thing that, the Word file. It's handy, notes on your phone, they're cute. But journal. It's really cool to go back to your notebooks and stuff that you wrote 5-10 years ago that you felt was, impossible.
Absolutely.
And you crushed it.
And it's amazing
3 years
too.
later.
There's something to be said about taking that intangible, those thoughts.
You're making it a material thing. You're putting it out in the real world.
You are. Yeah. And there's something about
energy behind
that
it.
process. When you start writing it down, what comes out, you're like, oh my God,
Clarity
I didn't
comes
even know
out.
that. Yeah. And the thing that I want everyone to really take away from this, though, is the win is not what you get as the end result.
Yeah.
The win is that you took action.
Yeah.
The win is that you did the thing that you thought was hard. And at the end of that, regardless of the outcome, you're like, check me out. I did it. I didn't hold myself back again.
Yeah.
I wasn't predictable to myself. I changed my personality to create a new personal reality. I took action. That is the win, not the end result.
I love going back to a space of recognition, and like for example, one of the things that I often talk about with my team is we'll have headaches, right? We're going through deals. We're doing the real estate is messy, bro. Like,
things happen.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we may trying to walk on water when we connect and energy wise and stay positive and all that stuff. But the reality thing is that deals are messy, right? Real estate is messy. The world is messy. We got to have that self-centeredness and I mean that in a good note. To really just cope with everything that's coming at us.
Well, sorry, go ahead.
So one thing that I do on a regular basis is go back to what was the old me like? Old me being last week. Old me being yesterday sometimes. Yeah. Old me being 10 years ago. What was that person like? One thing that I always ask, like for example, when I have employees and people come to me and have an issue or something like that, I have them just breathe for a minute, slow down a little bit, and then, bro, you do realize that the problems that you're having right now seem so far-fetched 6 months ago.
Yeah.
I mean, it was, I mean, completely something that wasn't even on the radar, meaning that as far as advances and growth and accomplishment, right?
Yeah. 6 months ago, this was just a dream to have
Exactly.
these problems.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So even though sometimes it may not feel like it, when you're in that track, you're making progress,
Totally.
right? When you write it down, you're making it tangible.
Yeah.
And you have your own, track record, your own, way of your own proof per se.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
But and the thing about it is, you said the self-centeredness, not selfish.
Yeah.
It's self-centered, meaning centered. Because the fact of the matter is, reality is always unfolding. It's been unfolding for billions of years, and when you're gone, when I'm gone, reality's still gonna be unfolding. So the thing about it is, with those belief systems, we're seeing reality unfold not as it is, but as we are. It's through our lens of perception, through those belief systems. That those belief systems are picking up bits of data and turning them into something that fits our belief systems.
Right.
So, you got to question what's really happening here. What's really the challenge? What's really hard? And everybody wants easy.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, what beautiful, brilliant, big, better, more results come from easy? And I'm not saying everything should be a struggle and hustle and grind, yet when you confront the thing that exists within you, because that's the thing about reality unfolding. When you're like, I have a problem with that. I have a problem with what you just said. I have a problem with what they just did. No, you have a problem in here that's getting triggered or activated through that situation. And so the hard thing is, speak your truth in that moment, take action, ask for what you want. Yes?
Yeah.
I mean, that's important, especially if you're an entrepreneur. You got to ask for what you want.
100%.
And so if that's the hard part, and then you take the action, that's the win, because who you become in that process. And so facing those hard things that only exist within you and confronting it, like you're slaying the dragon, so to speak.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And now you feel more confident. You feel more powerful because you're not giving your power away to circumstances, conditions, and events.
100%.
You're taking it back. And now you get to take that state of being and that personality to the next situation, the next situation, the next situation. And life just starts to unfold. And it can become easier because you're easier in here to deal with yourself.
Yeah. It makes you stronger, right?
Totally.
Don't. I guess I heard it a long time ago, and I can't remember where. But don't pray for things to be easier. Pray for you to be better.
Exactly.
And real growth doesn't come from the easy part, right?
No.
The easy part is the comfort zone. The easy part is the stuff that that's transactional. It's almost shallow. It's superficial.
Yeah.
The real part, the hard stuff is it's going in and being real with oneself. What do I want as an individual? Ask yourself that question and cut the bullshit.
Yeah.
And honor yourself while you're doing that. That's going to be a challenge, right?
Absolutely.
It's not going to be the easy thing. The easy thing is saying what people want to hear. The easy thing is it's complying just because, I mean, that sounded, political, but it's not. It's complying to society as a whole and not following your own direction, your own dream, your own path because you have no idea what it is. That's easier than really carving your own way because you feel a degree of responsibility to your truth, right?
Absolutely.
So
yeah, your authentic self.
Exactly.
When I say if you're doing the easy things, really, to me, my opinion in the matter is that would mean it's because you have a memory of it. And if you have a memory of it, it's because you've experienced that in your past. And if you're always operating from memories of the past, that means then by definition, you're going to be predictable in your future.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the people you know the best, to a degree, they're very predictable about certain things because they're not changing. They're not becoming a new personality. They're not becoming stronger. They're not confronting themselves with situations and transcending that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So the beautiful thing about it is it's a metamorphosis. It's a transformation. The caterpillar turns into a butterfly. And the beautiful thing is the butterfly never goes back to being a caterpillar. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Like,
It breaks the mold. Like you can't once you're out of that. Once you have any. I haven't seen anybody who's experienced growth, real growth, and you go back to the old, self.
No.
Not when you have that real, growth come in
Yeah.
and that, that the game changer, the shit that rewires your psyche.
Totally.
Like,
That's a new personality.
That's a completely different thing than going to a weekend seminar.
Absolutely.
And dropping nice, memes and quotes on social, right?
Yeah, because you memorize a bunch of cool
Yeah,
information.
exactly. When you come in and you actually take it to heart, and you start adopting these principles
Yes.
and create change. And you walk with that. That's once you're in that track, I haven't seen anybody go back.
No.
I just
But
haven't.
that's the key right there.
Because the mold breaks,
Is
like
doing
you
the
said.
hard things. Is
Yeah.
you know what's in your best interest. Yes?
Yeah.
You know the philosophy. Doing the hard things is all about getting into action with it, as you just said, to integrate it, to implement it, to demonstrate that you actually understand. It's not enough to just know. You've got to do it.
Yeah.
And that's what's hard, is confronting what exists within you in your BS, your belief systems, and
Yeah.
your emotional records of the past, that stored stuck energy you hang on to about things that happened to you that left an impact that you're hanging on to.
Yeah.
So you go to a seminar, you read a book, you watch a podcast, you learn new information, you've got the philosophy, but it's not enough to know. We must
Yeah.
do with it, implement, integrate, take action.
Yeah. And once you do that, when you do it enough times, it becomes a habit.
Totally.
You become not numb, right? But you become better at doing the hard stuff.
Well, it's simple. That which is impressed must be expressed. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
And so what are you continually impressing? They say, according to studies, we think 60 to 70,000 thoughts a day, 90% of which are the exact same ones we thought yesterday. Hence, you're predictable. But it's a habit.
Yeah.
So learning new things, taking new actions that normally you would stop yourself and having a new experience of yourself, you keep doing that, you're impressing it upon your unconscious mind until it's a subconscious program. It's just who you are. It's a new personality that'll create a new personal reality.
Yeah. I want to. This is something that I do whenever I'm getting. I don't want to say getting ready to do a hard thing, right? Because I just see them as things. I see them as actions. I see them as stuff that has to be handled. A lot of times when I've found myself procrastinating in the past is because of a lack of clarity. So this is a little process, a little breakdown that I do to just get better at it. And the first thing I do is I'll do a mind dump. I call it a mind dump.
Okay.
I'm not as eloquent with words. Like, for example, BS, which is what?
Belief systems.
Belief system. To me, it's bullshit. I mean, like,
Yeah, of course.
that's what it means.
the
Yeah,
Come on, man.
Yeah, come on. All right, so
Catch up,
anyways. So I have my belief system walks me through the process of doing this. But this helps me quite a bit. I mean, and I do this, like, for example, the last big session that I had, when I say session, it's me sitting down with a notebook or a whiteboard and then just doing a mind dump, literally a mind dump, just putting everything somewhere where I get it out of my head and into a wall. I mean, that to me is like one of the best activities or use of my time, right? And last time I did it was actually at the beginning of the year when I was trying to plan out, the rest of the year. It just broke it down by quarters and whatnot. To me, the stuff that I'm doing is hard stuff, right? Because I'm not repeating the same actions that I did last year. I'm not playing in the same space that I was playing last year. I'm leveling up. So this whole year it's a new year, right?
Yeah.
This is the way that I'm coping with it, and that's the first thing I do is a mind dump. Simple. You sit down again with a piece of paper or a whiteboard if you have it, and then you just drop all the ideas on there. Drop and all you're doing, you're not selecting, you're not making it pretty, you're not trying to map things out and to make that it makes sense in a way that it makes sense. You're just doing a mind dump.
Yeah.
It's really what it is.
So throwing it all on the board.
Throwing
Yeah,
it
vomit
all on the board. Spaghetti on the wall. It's really what it is. From there, I stand back and I look at this whole thing. Have you seen those like the murder shows where they have like
Bro,
all
I've
the
seen your walls.
So
Yeah.
And my wall is not a murder show. It
No.
looks like one, but it's not. No, but it's so you step back and then you have, you start to create this picture, and that, like, what you see on the wall at that point in time or that notebook, that's your brain. That's all the
is.
shit that's going through your head, right?
Yeah.
Now it's out there. What can you do? You can clarify it. The next thing is triage. There's something that I brought back from the fire department. We used to triage, patients when we were responding in EMS and all that, so bringing them into a hospital. So I think back of the term triage, and that to me is what's most important. It's kind of like win, right?
Yeah.
What is
Prioritize.
Yeah, exactly. Prioritize what's important now. And I'll start prioritizing. Out of that mind dump, I'll start taking stuff out. Okay, this is important, this is important, this is important. I can push this out. This is not too critical. Even the crazy thing is that what this helps me do is understand that a lot of the little things are taking up space in my mind.
Yeah, your mental
right?
bandwidth.
Exactly.
Yep.
They're like, oh my God, it's a stupid email. I have to write a stupid email. It's there, but yet it's still taking that that little bit of peace of mind. It's being taken by that little thought.
Yeah.
Right. So I do that. I triage and clarity. What I'm looking for here when I'm triaging, I'm looking for clarity. Okay, where am I headed with this thing? Does it make sense? Is everything that I have in my head right now really a subject of concern or subject of immediate action? Or what is not, right? I ask myself if it aligns.
Beautiful.
Does it align with the stuff that I want to do? Does it align with me empowering entrepreneurship or empowering?
Is it aligned with your
people?
mission?
Exactly.
Your purpose. Yeah.
Your mission, your purpose. And if it doesn't, I shouldn't be doing it. I need to delegate it. I need to do something else with it. If it's something that's got to get done.
But what's so brilliant is you got it out of here, taking off
Exactly.
your mental bandwidth. Because I love so much that you're talking about this too, because I believe in your mental bandwidth, like that's your attention, that's your focus, that's your energy. And so
Yeah.
what you're doing is you're like defrag here, like let's clean this up and get everything out of here that's not
Such
important.
a Windows guy.
Yeah.
Excuse me for those people who were born in 1872. Defrag
you
means
don't-
that you cleaned your Windows computer.
You don't do that with Macs?
No, sorry.
I know. Okay. Thanks for the clarification.
Yeah.
But anyways, before I was rudely interrupted, you gotta clean up that space so that and so powerful because I think I shared this a couple episodes ago. When I got a bunch of stuff off my plate, that means that all my mental bandwidth was focused on my role, what's most important, that's a priority. And
Yeah.
because of that, my business doubled, tripled, quadrupled. By just doing
Boom.
that, just
Yeah.
getting things off the mental bandwidth. So yeah, man, because we always make time for priorities, yes?
Yeah.
So what you're saying is brain dump, triage, prioritize, hierarchy of values, and then you got all the mental
Align.
bandwidth that are aligned. That's how
Yeah.
you would determine the priority, and then you just go to town.
Yeah, the last one is take massive imperfect action. I mean, I love the term massive imperfect action. It doesn't have to be perfect. You just take an action. You're walking
never
forward.
gonna be.
As you're walking forward, clarity just becomes even better, right? And the results that you're going to have with those actions are going to open up new pathways, new opportunities, new ways of doing things, and make the road easier as you're taking things. But if you want to sit there and then theorize about how the whole thing is going to look before you take the first step, on step 3 you're going to have to rework your plan. Fucking guarantee you.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean that's kind of like it's my process for clarity and really breaking stuff down when I'm struggling with something hard, something difficult. If I'm gonna launch a new training or whatnot, right? Putting together, for example, a solid training course is a lot of work. Same as an
Yeah.
event, right?
Yeah.
You didn't know how to put together an event. I
No.
didn't know how to put together a training course or program. It's a big thing to chew on. Why? Because people are going to come in, they're going to pay, they better learn. I mean, it's
Yeah.
what do? I mean, I do a mind dump. Again, I walk through the whole process. I mean, triage what's important, what's not. What am I going to keep in here? Is this, pull clarity from that? Does it align with the stuff that we're doing? And then take massive action, start putting it together. Boom,
Yeah.
boom, 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 boom.
Well, what I love what you said is massive imperfect action.
Massive imperfect
Because most
action.
people get into that analysis paralysis of, okay, I got to have a perfect plan of 100 steps here. And it's like, you don't know what's perfect because you've never had an experience of this.
No.
You don't know what you don't know. How could you possibly take into consideration all these things?
Yeah.
So doing the hard things sometimes is just taking the first step.
Yeah.
And the thing that I found is because part of my BS is I'm not smart enough. That's one of my programs from being a young kid.
Total BS.
Yeah. So, I mean, scholastically speaking, so for me to sit
Even
down
that's scholastically clever.
right?
It's a big word.
is.
I don't think I can repeat that again. Like it's a difficult word.
Word of the
Wouldn't
day,
you agree?
scholastically.
Yeah.
Is that even a word? Yeah. So my point being, though, is that I am willing to get into action because I know I don't know all things, especially when I'm doing something new. I cannot possibly account for all the potential pitfalls and things to look out for because I don't have the experience.
Yeah.
However, as I get into action, I'm going to learn new information through mistakes. I love mistakes. They're just those beautiful little gifts of knowledge.
Yeah.
And getting new information by just being in action gets you information.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's how you get the confidence. That's how you get the experience. That's how you're able to then duplicate to somebody else. Hey, here's the path. Here's what I learned. Look out for this. Look out for that. Da, da, da. And you can paint the picture and give them a clear path to success in your trainings and so forth, right? So I think that's what it all comes down to. Do the hard things, but just get your ass into action. And
Massive imperfect action.
Massive imperfect action. Just notice the stories, notice the emotions that come up, but just realize I'm not my mind, I'm not my emotions. They're things I have, and I can witness them.
Yeah.
And how often does my mind and my emotions hold me back? And maybe I'm tired of the results that I'm getting by holding myself back.
Yeah.
So do the hard thing, which is to notice those things and move forward anyways.
Yep, 100%, man. We are in context. We are in a space of context. Everything around us is a story. Everything around us, it's an engram. It's a new thing that's going to influence, if we're not aware of it, the way that we do things, right?
Absolutely.
We can always come back to self. We can always come back to our truth and figure out what the best approach is from within, right? If it aligns to yourself, if it aligns to your purpose, to your truth, to what you want to do, and you're authentic, I mean, you're gonna be okay. Now the thing is to get over that fear and actually handle the difficult things, because a lot of the beautiful things of life really happened or happen on that other side.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, absolutely. And the only thing stopping you that's hard is just your bullshit story on why you think it's going to be X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
And how many times you get in action, you realize I was full of shit.
Yeah. People think what's important now, do a mind dump and go through the process. So I love that, man.
Yeah, good
It's a
stuff.
really good little session. Fuck yeah. All right. So, Justin, where can people find you if they want to get a hold of you?
JustinThorstad.com. Thorstad is THORSTAD. Of course, my cell phone is the best way, 602-348-8534.
Savage. Sweet. All right. And you can find me at Rafael Cortez CEO on iTunes, or actually CEO Post Podcast on iTunes, Rafael Cortez CEO on YouTube. Subscribe, like, and share. Make sure that you spread the word if you like what we're doing here every Monday for you. And we'll catch you on the next one. Actually, we're going to have the next one in about 5 minutes.
Yeah.
As we're recording. So if you're on IG, you're going to catch that one too. I don't care what you think.
Do the hard things.
Do the hard things. Yes, exactly. Stay focused. You got this. Boom.